Rebound and rebuild.
In life, you don't lose, you learn.
Every one of us has potential.
100%.
The winner is
Here we go. Rebound and rebuild.
Well, hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to another episode of Rebound and Rebuild.
Oh, yeah.
I am so excited to be here today. I, of course, am Carlos, the creator.
Yeah, my man.
And who am I here with?
You already know the one and only Coach
My
Charles.
my amazing co-host here, Charles, Coach Charles. Charles, how are you, man?
Man, I'm freaking great, dude.
Yeah?
Been full.
I heard you were in Hawaii.
Yes, I was.
How was Hawaii?
It was Hawaii.
Dude, Hawaii's on my bucket list. Like, my wife and I
Yes.
need to go to Hawaii.
Which is interesting because you've been everywhere else in the world except there.
I think I always think Hawaii's just like mad expensive
And it's not.
and like we just can't afford it. And I'm like,
yeah. But
yeah.
we spent time in Dubai. But, you know.
There's so many people that I hear go to Hawaii and the black sands and volcanoes and
Yep.
this island and
Yep.
that island. But I'm like, oh man, I need to we just
You
need to go.
should. You definitely have to do it, bro.
But anyway, well, we're after this whole holiday season
Right.
and just
new
working and you modeling and acting
Yeah.
and running your businesses and me and my wife running our businesses. We're finally here in the studio
Again,
chatting it up.
that's right.
But I have a treat for everyone because today is the very first podcast episode with our very first guest.
That's right.
This guest is very, very precious to me, very
Yeah,
special
sure.
to me. He's a man that I admire, that I respect, that I value tremendously in my life. And I know not only me, but my wife as well.
Surely.
I think my wife is just biased, but this guest is he's an entrepreneur.
Right.
He's a son, a father, a husband, a leader,
A believer.
a believer. I mean, he just has it all.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really respect his advice. I really admire everything that he's doing in his company. And, but without further ado,
Yeah.
let me introduce to you all our very first guest of here at Rebound and Rebuild. He's actually my brother-in-law,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Amazing Edwin Diplan.
Thank you, guys.
Edwin.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor. It's a huge pleasure. I admire you both so much. Carlos, I mean, you set the bar pretty high for not only as a man, but as a brother-in-law. And Charles, you're super inspirational. I admire your work and you're awesome. So thank you guys
you,
once
bro.
again for having me over.
No, thank you for making the time. I know that you are a very busy man. In the Dominican Republic,
Right.
they work Monday through Saturday.
Wow. In America, we work Sunday to Sunday.
Oh, that's true. 24/7. I think America is the country with the least amount of holidays.
Yeah, and the most amount of work hours. They've been studying that. We work every day.
But anyway, so Edwin, like I said, he's my brother-in-law. He runs
Cool,
a
dude.
multi-million-dollar business in the Dominican Republic.
It's amazing.
And he'll tell you a little bit more about what the business is. But
Yes.
just in a nutshell, they manufacture rolling doors.
Yeah.
So rolling doors are used for any type of business, major businesses to for security purposes, block doors,
Yep.
block windows. So they manufacture these systems.
That's really awesome.
And
Talking about mean and need, right?
exactly. And I think when the pandemic happened, obviously there was a lot of things happening and a lot of people were suffering and it was sad for many. However, for Edwin and his company, which is Diplan Rolling Doors,
Okay.
it actually boomed.
Wow.
They
That's
actually
wonderful.
did phenomenal. And I know Edwin's going to share a little bit about
Yeah,
it.
man.
But, Edwin, I can show you off like I show Charles off all the time. But can you just tell our audience who you are? Who is Edwin Diplan?
Well, I'm just a regular Joe Schmo, whatever, however you guys call it. Just regular guy who studied a lot with his father. I guess that was my biggest role model, my dad, Ever since I can remember, I was always by his side, learning how to treat people, his employees, his suppliers, his clients, and the behind the scenes of the business. You go to a business school and you read a lot of books and whatever um, technology you can learn. It's always going to fall short to the
Hmm.
real thing, the
That's
practical,
a great point.
when you get your hands dirty, per se. And my dad, he taught me that, and I think it was the best school I could have ever gone to, just being by his side.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we come from a line of businessmen. I mean, my grandfather, he was well known here in Dominican Republic for his work. And so my dad at the age of 15, he was already managing the whole operations of the business, the family business.
Wow.
At 15, I mean, such a huge burden, if you would call it a burden, but such a large
Huge
role to play
responsibility.
in responsibility in your life.
Yeah.
And you would think you would be rather playing basketball or going out with your friends or whatever. He's working 16 hours a day. And so
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that somehow got passed on to me. And
Hmm.
I won't say I didn't go out with friends or anything, but yes, since little I was prepared to having that responsibility and having a care for work and the
Wow.
Right.
way to treat other people. And it's not just work. I mean, it's a family. The business we call our business. It's not a business. It's a family. It's a family
Yeah.
project,
I
and
like that.
and that's the way we've managed the whole business. Even my father, my grandfather, like I said, and that's how we see things. That's our like work philosophy.
Right. That's something that really impressed me when I met my wife's family, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law. I never got to meet like Edwin says, his grandfather, who
Mm.
was also an entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur. Never met him,
Wow.
but I heard so many great things about him. And one of the things that really impressed me about Edwin and the Diplan family
Sure.
was their work ethic,
Yeah.
which has trickled down even to the
Yeah.
children
The daughters, definitely. There's
and
no
well
doubts.
hope and also the
That's
grandkids.
right.
Edwin is a was a very young father, and he actually has a is he 17 or 18 years old now?
17.
17.
So I
17.
was my
So
firstborn. Yeah.
he's actually I love Saul. Like he's one of my favorites, but he's actually coming here to Florida to
Wow.
for college next year or this year. But even with them, like you can see the ethic, like even being molded. And when you when we were talking earlier, you mentioned how you were essentially molded into a position
Sure.
of leadership, a position of business.
Right.
There's different types of entrepreneurs, I
That's
think,
right.
out there.
Sure.
There's the entrepreneurs who are self-made,
Right.
who become,
Right.
and then there's the entrepreneurs who are
Groomed.
groomed,
Yes.
descended
Fashioned.
from
That's right.
entrepreneurs.
Yep.
In this case, Edwin is a groomed,
Yes.
a descended entrepreneur
Yes.
from generation upon
Right.
generation, and it's different from at least from our end where
Sure.
we are self-made.
Sure.
We had a vision, we believed in our vision, and then we went for it.
That's right.
Um, but I don't know, it's something really amazing to see that it all started with character,
Yeah.
with the work character and how to do things.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
And it all
And, uh,
comes down to character. You know why? Because um, let's say I did come from my father. He sort of built the business. He showed me the way. But let's say I did not have that character. I chose to party
Sure.
out instead or do my own thing instead.
And we see that often.
yeah,
And we see that exactly. And how many times would I like it does not guarantee my success coming
That's
from
right.
my father, from my dad's company. My
Yes.
character, my willingness to keep going, to do things different, to improve.
Yes.
Right.
So it both has both situations have their own merits. I mean, of course, you guys are
Yeah.
awesome doing your own thing, starting your own thing, but it also has its own merit to keep improving. And let's say every time my dad comes down to DR and he visits the company and he sees the changes that we have been doing and the improvements, it that also gives him a sense of I wouldn't
Great
call it
pride.
pride, but
Yeah.
yeah, that his work continued in some way.
And not only that it continued, but that you yourself are proud of the work.
And I'm making my own path as well.
So, which that leads me to my first question
Right.
for you, Edwin. How did you get started in business? Because I don't want it to sound like you were this prince and it got
Right.
handed to
Right.
you.
Which is okay because
Yeah.
that is the case for some
Yeah.
people.
And that's reality for some people.
And he still had to develop into that.
Correct.
Right.
But how tell me how you started in business?
Sure.
Well, since very little, I was always by my dad's side. So he wanted
Right.
me to learn every step of the business. We started cleaning, my brother and I, we started cleaning, sweeping the floors.
Right.
That's how we started. And we started escalating. Like when you have a video game, you earn XP. So
Level.
yeah, levels. So that's how I started, sweeping the floors. So then came painting and doing different parts of the doors, of the rolling doors. And then came uh, customer service and
Okay.
administration and accounting and sales and dealing with the suppliers and then dealing with the clients. So I went through every single phase of the business because he wanted me to learn. He said, if someday, if you decide that you want to keep the business going, then you need to know what exactly your employees are doing and
Yeah.
what your suppliers expect from you and what your clients expect from you. So
That's right.
Right.
that's how I got into business pretty early on. I'd say I don't want to get him in trouble for child labor or anything, but yeah, it was pretty early on. And I remember, I mean, Carolina, um, we used to live in Miami, and even from Miami, my dad took care of all the suppliers. He bought all the materials for the business, and we used
Okay.
to sit in the backyard screwing nuts into bolts. And I mean that little thing, that little task, uh, taught us so much about responsibility, time management.
Mm.
Um, you know, little things that little task will show you will teach you so much. And like
Yeah.
like Karate Kid, when Mr. Miyagi taught
Yeah.
Daniel-san to wax the car, it wasn't about
Yes.
waxing the car, so that's
I'm pretty sure that it was about waxing the car at first, to be honest with you. I mean, Mr. Miyagi was old. He was like,
but yeah, that's how I got into business. I mean, I wanted to be a computer engineer, but then I started having all these experiences, and I said,
mm,
you know what, I really like this, and I can see this as my path in life, and I've never regretted. I've been really happy. I think the work we do is not just working.
okay,
I see it as a way of helping other people
Yeah.
indirectly and directly, and
sure.
yeah, that's how I
And
got in,
how,
and I'm glad.
how many times have we talked
That's
about
right.
uh if when you help others
Yeah.
find their way, you'll eventually find
And
your
that's right.
way. Edwin, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Because you said you wanted to be an engineer, a computer engineer. Were you thinking business for yourself?
Well, it started as a computer engineer, but then like I said, I fell in love with business while I was
Okay.
in that path of working alongside my dad.
Got you.
Yeah.
We have, like we said, we've been self-made entrepreneurs. We've learned the way.
Right.
for self desire. But in Edwin, in your case, it was again handed to you,
Right.
kind of put in place. You were very young when it was kind of put on your lap, and not only that, but
Right.
you were also a very young father.
Sure.
So there was a lot of pressure
Yes.
added on you,
Sure.
I would assume.
Of course.
But my question to you is, being such a young parent, such a young father, and having such responsibilities on your shoulders, how did you handle, or how did you cope,
Right.
as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, well, I've always been like ahead of my time. I think I'm a bohemian spirit. I mean, I've always been like when others were playing basketball or going out with friends, I was studying. I was
Wow.
studying languages or computer or stuff like that, and
Right.
I did marry very early in my life. I married when I
Mhm.
was 21. I had my first son, and my dad, he helped me out a lot. I mean, he has
Good.
been my best friend, and he he just says the word and I'll do it. So
Right.
he
Wow.
helped me out
Yeah.
in those situations, and it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. But my family, my sisters, my mom, my aunt, they all chipped in, and they were there for me morally.
You had a
And
great
my
support
wife,
system.
I mean, she's great, and we connected so well together that um yeah, I mean, that was I
Yeah.
saw that as God's telling me, this is the way, this is what you
Yeah.
need to do. I don't
That's
want
awesome.
you I don't want you spending 10 years of your life wandering around, waiting for that perfect person to come. Here it is.
Mm.
Here's your perfect person, and go and start your life.
Like we've said, and you mentioned it many
Yes.
times. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's all right.
They're drilling in
No
in
worries.
the office studio, and again, sorry for the internet connection. Edwin is joining us from the Dominican Republic. Can you believe we can
That's
do that
amazing.
nowadays?
Again,
Like,
that's the technology we live in, man.
and technology. I mean, it doesn't matter where in the world you are. We
Yeah.
can always communicate and connect. And of course, today they're building it or remodeling in the building.
And these
So
are pretty well soundproofed walls, so
yeah,
they're like right on the
they're
other side,
probably right
right above our
above.
heads, man.
But anyway,
Oh man.
we've said behind every man
Yeah.
there's a great woman.
No, I've said is a greater woman.
There you go.
Yeah, because they
So
have
say
to.
it.
I say
Say it. Say it.
behind every great man is an even greater woman
Yeah.
because she has to deal with our growth and our process
Right.
on our way to our success
Yeah.
while managing hers and
Yeah.
her own emotions and delaying that gratification to see us get there. So no, seriously, women, I applaud you sincerely, especially
Yeah.
the great women in our lives.
Totally deserved.
Yes,
Right.
totally
Yeah.
deserved.
My next question for you, Edwin. I know like that again,
Yeah.
going on that you were handed this business, you were put in this position. What was harder for you? Was it harder for you to give up any potential
Right.
other dreams you
Right.
had, or deal with the pressure of I need to I'm put in this place, I
Yeah,
need to
I have to
make
do
it
this.
succeed? Like, what was harder for you?
It's definitely hard. Um, I'm I always at night. It's when I do
Hmm,
my reflection and
sure.
my praying. And I prayed for God to like just show me a path, just show me a way, help me out, like, and give me some light. And that's how I honestly, that's how I saw it. Like, this
Right.
is what you need to
Right.
do. Don't think about it, just do it. And he gave me strength, and I just said, you know what? It's hard. It's not where I imagined I was going to be at 21, 22 years old. My dad got sick. I remember he was going through some family drama, uh,
Hmm,
and me being the firstborn, the man per se of the house. I mean, it was only us two, guys, and I said, you know what, I need to step up and be the man and help my dad. And if he wants me
Yeah.
Right.
to jump off a building, I'll go and grab a ladder and jump as far as high as I can and be there for him. And I say, you know what? All those years of him grooming me, this is where I need to step up to the plate. This is the time. And yeah,
Mm.
like I said, it was hard. It's not where I saw myself. Obviously, I wanted
Right.
to travel around the world. I wanted to
Mm.
do a lot of things, but it came to be that that's what I needed to do, and that's how I that's how it happened. And I'm glad
So
it
let me
happened
ask you
because it
this.
taught me a lot too. I mean, at that time, I might have seen it like an adversity, but you know what? It made me stronger. It made me more confident in myself, and it made
Yeah.
me prove to myself that I could do it. And I set a goal for myself to not only uh, do right for my dad, but do right for me, for myself, and for my
Yeah,
family, which I now have had a young child, a newborn, that I needed to be a role model for him too, and I think it's been working.
that's good.
Right.
Well, let me ask you based on that. So we have a lot of listeners listening, and they're getting the gist of kind of your journey and how it felt and the struggle and the pressure. So you're talking to someone. So if you had to frame it in a way, almost as if you're giving advice to one of the listeners or someone who's like, okay, I understand your process, but what does that mean to me? What are you telling me in your story? Would you say you're giving them courage to choose what's difficult? Are you telling them that it's okay to persevere? What are you really saying to them? Because I think someone's like, I really want this. What are you saying?
Yeah, you know what? All beginnings, all the startups, they're difficult, and anything that's worthwhile in
Yeah,
life, it's hard. It's going to be hard, but
yeah,
it's also going to be awarding. It's also going to be worthwhile, and you're
yeah,
going to put your effort into it. You know why? 'Cause that's what you want. If you want something, if you really in your heart have a desire to do something, if you have that goal that you need to reach, you're going to reach it. And when you reach it and when you accomplish your goal, it's going to feel so good, and you're going
yeah.
to look back and see your worth. And I definitely encourage people to follow their dreams and
That's awesome.
not
Right.
not take the easy route uh, for laziness, or for
Right.
it's work. Everything needs work. You're not gonna get
Right.
everything that comes easy goes easy.
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a train of thought
Sure.
people really don't have.
Yes.
Things that come easy go
Go
easy.
easily. It is
Things that
true.
take time last long.
Think of lottery winners.
Uh-huh.
Most people who win the
Yes,
lottery, they lose their
exactly.
millions, and some people like
Exactly.
$1 billion in the first 3 to 5
Exactly.
years,
Exactly.
all the way back to zero.
That amazes me every time because a lot of these lotto winners
Yep.
end up they end up suicidal.
Absolutely.
And it's like, how do you
Amass this.
yes.
Yeah.
It's
And then lose it all.
and lose it all
Well,
in years.
like you said, character. So I think that's a great point to go back to too, just being mindful. We all have to be conscious of being very introspective. We talked about earlier in the podcast on other episodes. We have to be able to look at ourselves and see some of the things that maybe we don't want to recognize, or be honest enough with people that we trust that can tell us, yo, man, these things in your life are going to keep coming back and you're going to keep falling in this pit until you do what's necessary to correct that. And I agree with that, man. That's a good thought, bro. Really great, great,
The
great,
only
great point.
place where success is before work, it's in the
That's right.
dictionary.
Dictionary. I remember that one.
My dad, us Spanish Latins, we talk a lot with sayings.
Right.
So there's one that my
Mm.
grandfather always said to his employees, and then my dad passed it on to me. He said he
Okay.
always used to say that there's two types of people who don't succeed in life. First, those who always do what they're not told to do, and
Mm.
second, those that only do what they're told to do.
You're so, bro. You are sure right.
And
You are
that's
sure
really
right.
deep. I mean,
It
it
is deep.
sounds corny, but if you think about it, it's really
Can you say it again? Because I think that was really
Yeah.
good.
A great point.
Say it again.
there's two types of people who don't succeed in life.
Yeah.
Those who always do what they're not told to do, and those who only do what they're told to do.
Man. That's right.
Dude, so good.
We
wow,
love
mic
those
drop.
points.
Mic
Yeah,
drop
that's
right
right,
here.
man. We were looking for that. We knew you had that in you, man. That's a great point to be made, dude.
Edwin,
So
there are many businessmen who've been in your position
And businesswomen.
and been women
Right.
who've been put in a position of high responsibility. What advice would you give anyone who's either about to embark
Right.
on that road or is already there or has, what can you tell them?
Even
Men
some
or
people who
women?
are already down the line. He's been doing this for
Exactly, yeah.
years. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
what can you tell them?
as in any business, we have a mission, a goal, an ultimate goal. I find the best way to reach that ultimate goal is by setting up smaller tasks, smaller
That's right.
goals,
That's
so
right.
we reach step by step and we level up to eventually reaching that goal. But keeping in mind that the most important thing is not losing our principles, our character, in search for that ultimate goal. Sometimes we compare ourselves with other
Mm.
business people
Ventures or
or
Comparison.
whatever.
Yeah.
adventurers or whatever who reach their goals in a time period that is not necessarily ours, and doing things
Right.
that is not necessarily aligned with our principles.
Especially in the social media culture.
Exactly. And so the best thing is focus in your
So true.
principles and keep doing your thing, but staying true to yourself. Because
That's
sometimes
right.
we sell out and we do things
Mm.
that are gonna make us feel ashamed about ourselves. And what good is it gonna do for you having money or reaching being the best company in the world, whatever, if you're sad inside, if you had to sell your soul for it,
Right.
if you have
That's
no
true.
principles,
That's true.
if you
Right.
can't look at yourself in the
That's
mirror,
right.
then there's no point. So that I think that's my best
That's a
advice I
great
could
answer,
give.
man. You said something really interesting too about taking steps, and Carlos and I have been talking about that as well, because I think to your point, a lot of times we see this lofty goal and sometimes we become overwhelmed, or like you said, we're willing to trade values and principles because
Mhm.
that goal is so big. So we think we got to do whatever it takes to get there.
Right. Yeah.
But to the other side of that, some goals are achievable, but
Yeah.
we need to break them down into smaller goals. Have you ever heard the story? I think it was like the farmer's boy and the horse or something like that. I'll tell it really briefly. Basically, there was a horse walking with a farmer's boy, and they had this long journey to make and had to climb over a mountain,
Right.
and they had to get back home.
Mm-hmm.
And the boy says, I don't know the way. It's getting dark. I can't see where I'm going. And the horse says, well, I can't see where I'm going either. So he says, let me just ask you a question. Can you see your next step?
Yeah.
And he says, yes, I can see the next step. He says, well, let's just take that.
Yeah.
And so you recognize over time, each little step, you eventually find yourself over the mountain and on your way back home.
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it's good.
Simple, but it's
And
good.
It's true.
It could be overwhelming, and you know what? It gets to a point that you say, "I give up," and that's what happens many
Yeah.
times with people like me
Unfortunately, yeah.
who inherit a business, a large business, that they set the bar so high that
Yeah.
it's basically, I'm not going to be able to match this. You know what? I'm just going to cut my
Right. That's
losses
true
short
too.
and I'll do another thing. I'll go another way. And yeah,
Right.
I
That's
think
sad, man.
that's
Well,
that's part of the problem.
Well, going in that direction, I'd love to ask you, and again, it's time to get into the nitty
oh,
gritty
let's
of
go.
things, and maybe some personal things.
This
But
is where we're at.
Could you share, and again, if you don't mind sharing,
Or
any
your deepest, darkest secrets.
would you share any failures
Right.
that you've kind of been through that you're
Absolutely.
like,
Have to.
man, I should have taken a left turn and I took a right turn. I should have followed my instinct. I knew I wasn't supposed to do it,
Yeah.
but I did it under like anything like that that could kind of put you on a more personable
Yeah.
level.
And something that hurt. Because like I know you have a memory, like to his question, of something that was like, man, did that one burn? And we want to know not only what it felt like, but what did you do to rebound and rebuild?
Yeah, sometimes you trust people, and it can be
Mm,
hard when you
yeah.
trust openly so much that and
Mm,
then it turns out it just doesn't work, and then these
yeah. Yeah.
people
I've been there.
can hurt you, being that they know so much about you. They know your uh I don't know, like how you operate, right? They know all your
Yeah.
secrets,
That's
I
right.
would say. But
Yeah. All your
I
moves.
never all your moves, yeah. But you know what? I don't see it as a failure. I mean, it's just a learning
Right.
step. I mean, when
Yeah. There
Edison
you
was
go.
trying to was developing the light bulb, he messed up
Uh,
so many times that one reporter asked him, um, "Haven't you had enough? I mean, you've failed 1,000 times." And he
Basically
answered,
called him a loser.
yeah.
"Yeah." Call him out in the spot, and he said, "You know what? I haven't failed. I just now learned 1,000 ways how it's not going to work."
That it won't work.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, I trusted a person with basically the operations of the company, and it turns out that they just left me hanging, and did their own
Wow.
thing, and basically started a company with the same uh, secrets or whatever. The way I
Mm,
handled the business that took me so long to learn, uh,
wow.
they hit me back with the same my own weapons, But time is wise, and like I said before, you got to stick to your principles, stick to your
Yeah.
beliefs, and
Yeah.
it came out that that person it's now without work, and I'm
Of
I'm still
course.
standing. The thing is that I don't want to brag, but the what I'm trying to get to
Right.
is that sometimes we're in a state where we think that we have failed, or in a place where we
Yeah.
think that's it, we've hit bottom, and there's always a way that we can make things better for ourselves. And that person stealing
That's
my
right. Yeah.
my tricks per se just led me to developing new tricks.
And that's the point. It made you grow. A
Yeah.
lot of times we don't know we need to grow.
Yeah. Well, you stay stagnant. You
Right.
think, I know what to do. I know how I'm doing things. I don't need anything. And sometimes life
That
throws you
is right. And
curveballs.
God will do it too. It
Exactly.
wasn't to be mean. It was
No.
because he was probably trying to communicate to you through other means. But he's like, okay, I'm just going to have to let you walk through this one until you see.
And
Yeah.
you can't rebuild
That is right.
until you fail.
And in fact, like he said, it's not even a failure. It really is an exposure.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of times it'll let us see ourselves where we truly are. Yeah, chance to learn.
A chance to learn, a chance to redevelop,
Yep.
reinvent yourself. And remember, we talked about, which
That's
is
right.
so funny, we've talked about the fire.
That's
and
right.
how-
And let people get close.
exactly, but also protecting your
Yes.
fire. And
Inner
then,
fire.
And then through seasons, how lumber
Yes.
is different.
You have to change it
You
sometimes.
have to change it. You have to find some other way to keep the fire going.
Yep.
So, which is so funny that's the story, because I've heard a lot of the
Yes.
same issues
That's
in
right.
a lot of companies where you let someone in,
Yeah.
you trust someone,
Yes.
and then suddenly it's like
And it's the nature of life. We have to be okay with being vulnerable, right? We're not
Exactly.
saying go out and just give every little trade secret you have,
No.
but there are going to be people with ill will and ill
Yeah.
intentions, just like Jesus had Judas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He walked with him really closely, and then
Exactly.
something in him turned.
Yeah.
We have the scripture that said it wasn't like he was always this way.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the case in life.
Yeah.
But on top of that, when you are walking in true character, like he said, keep your spirit, keep yourself in the right. Like so the
Yeah.
Bible says, uprightness. If you're walking that way, God will still protect you.
Correct.
So yes, he may have taken a trade secret or two, and they think, I got you now, but that's all you've got.
Yeah. And there are a lot of foxes out there who are going to come in your
But
vineyard.
that's what you close. Yeah, you close up those
and
holes for that.
Try and take, because there's people who like, oh, I can do this business better than you.
Fine.
And it's funny because it's like now that we've opened this
Right. Everybody's
studio,
all like, I could do this.
you have all these
Yep.
we have all these guests touring the studio, and
I was trying to say, sorry to interrupt. I was trying to say there are people who are way better than me. Obviously, I mean, I'm not the best. There's tons of
Right.
people better than me. But what I need to do is keep in mind that I'm not them, and I need to focus on me.
That is right.
that's
We go
That's
back
why
to
we say
social
better
media.
and me.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we go to social media and we keep looking, swiping right and seeing, scrolling down and seeing how well people are doing, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, you know? And I can't
That's right.
keep
Mhm.
comparing myself to, oh, this guy's doing that. Let me do exactly what he's doing.
Right.
Uh, or he went away with all my tricks. That's it. I'm dead. I mean, that's that's that's
Right.
where God said, you know what, you need to step up and do your own
No, I
thing.
agree.
That's right.
There's this movie with it's with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman and Scarlett Johansson. It's called
The Avengers. No, I'm just kidding.
no,
I'm just joking, dude.
but it's
I promise
funny
I'm joking.
because Tesla and Edwin just mentioned the light bulb guy.
Bit like Edison, Thomas Edison.
Edison. They come out in the movie.
Okay.
So in the movie, they're like magicians.
Oh, you're talking about that's an old movie,
Yeah, it's an
dude.
old
It,
movie.
it used to be one of my favorites.
I love it.
Yeah, and it was the escape artist. Was it called?
Exactly.
What
So
was it
it's
called?
like
Yeah.
they're in a theater. And
Yeah, I remember that movie.
so Christian Bale's character
Yes.
ends up turning on his best friend,
Yes.
who was Hugh Jackman.
Yes, I remember
opens
this.
up his own thing.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman later sent his woman,
Yes.
who is Scarlett Johansson character, to steal secrets.
Yes.
And what happened to Hugh Jackman? He said, I got to reinvent myself.
And he did.
That's where he went to find Tesla and I keep wanting to call
Edison. Yes.
Einstein. Sorry. But it reminds me of that movie where it's
Yeah.
like he reinvented himself, and
Yeah.
then it was the other way around where Christian Bale now was coming back
Yeah.
to steal secrets. But anyway, you've obviously shared some defeat in or learning experience,
Yes, learning
in
experience,
your
right.
career development. But here's another question: tell us when, because obviously you got handed a multi-million-dollar business. When did you make your first million? And how did you handle it? And did you celebrate it? I want to know the details.
Well, you never forget your first. Just kidding. It's it was obviously a huge moment for me in my
Wow.
working in my career. I always I keep stats of everything. I keep my sales statistics, production, everything. And I
Stats
remember
of
sitting
everything.
Yeah.
down, and when I saw that we were on our way to make the million, I got so excited. But then, you know what? I said, "This is nothing. I mean, this is what
Right.
I've been working for. What it's just money."
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
like it was a bittersweet moment because I realized
Yeah.
as soon as you feel that money is your goal, then that's it. You're done. So I don't see
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't see it as, oh, I have this or that. I see it as I have so many employees. They're doing well for themselves. They're getting an
Right.
education. I'm helping out the children's hospital in my town, the
Wow.
orphanage in my town. So for me,
There you go.
that's more successful than having millions in my bank account.
That's right.
Wow.
Because it's about what you can do
Yeah.
with the resource.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Good for you.
And even the Bible says, give.
Yeah, give and give without expecting anything back.
That's right.
And I came to a conclusion that there's nothing more selfish than giving.
That's true. I've heard that. That is absolutely true.
What is good having money if you can't share it, or wealth
Yeah,
for
I
that matter?
understand that. Right.
So it's something that
Right.
always we speak with my friends. We're like, what good is it going to be for me to have a brand new car if I can't
Right.
give my friend a ride? Or having
Wow.
a pool in my house if I don't have friends over? Or having a barbecue if I'm just
That's right.
sitting eating
That
by
is so right,
myself?
man.
So I don't think
Yeah.
about money that way. Like, of course, you need money. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
Mm-hmm.
tool, man.
it's a tool,
Yeah.
but it's not the goal.
Exactly.
So
That's right.
I don't want to sound a little bit I don't know,
No, you don't sound
obnoxious,
No.
arrogant at all. None of that. Not
but
a,
that's the way I see it. Uh, True to God, when I saw that in my stats I was gonna hit 1 million, that's how I felt.
Wow.
wow. That's awesome, bro.
And I can attest to it. I mean, I know him fairly well to know
Sure.
this man is not a cocky man. He's not,
I think people can see that.
arrogant.
They can see it.
He's literally, and that's why I admire him a lot because he's very humble.
Mm.
Like you would not think that
Yeah.
this guy is so successful.
Yeah.
You would not expect, like,
Unsuspecting.
you
Yeah.
see him on the street and he just looks like a regular
As
Joe
he says.
driving his Chevy. Like it's not like you see him in a Lambo or whatever.
Yeah.
Though he can afford it.
Yeah.
You don't. You see this other side, and that's what's really speaks to me
That's awesome.
about a leader and an entrepreneur like Edwin is.
That's beautiful. And if you think about the world's most successful, most of them aren't very flashy.
Yeah.
We're not trying to live by many of their examples, but like a
No.
Mark Zuckerberg, he wears t-shirts
Steve
and jeans.
Jobs.
Steve Jobs, he was always wearing the same outfit, same tennis
Mhm.
shoes. Even we always talk about Elon, same
Uh-huh.
pretty much look. He's not really flashy. I always think about Sam Walton before these guys' time. Sam Walton would go to his Walmarts
Yeah.
and people wouldn't even know he was the owner of the entire company because he's wearing overalls driving a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Your employees look up to that, will look up to you in a different way too, because
That's right.
they see that they don't feel being exploited for your own
Right. Yeah, that's
personal
right.
um, uh, glory or whatever. You care for them.
Right.
And Edwin, you obviously you're an engineer, you deal with a lot of engineering, mechanical, with the rolling doors and, heavy machinery. Like, dude, the machinery in their
It's
factory,
crazy.
like some people can die.
Mm.
I'm a little scared sometimes because I see some machines that like, boom, like hit you,
Oh,
like
man.
they could cut your arm off.
That's crazy.
And then one of the things that I wanted to ask you is because of endless technology and endless gear, how do you in a way keep up with the Joneses as far as gear, as far as reinventing your
Competitors,
business,
right.
competition? Like I know in chats and in conversations you talked about different designs and doors, and you see that door. It's funny because we're like all over the world because we travel together
Yeah.
many times, and it's like, oh, look at that door, oh, look at that door. And it's just not Edwin, it's also Denise's wife, and I'm like, look, they speak the same language.
That's so funny.
But how do you keep up with that, like, reinventing of your business?
Well, I think that one of my business goals, or my mission, is to always keep the vanguard. Always stay on top of the new stuff. and I always try to come out with
Mm.
new designs, new ways of installing the doors, or just developing, always in constant development,
Constantly
research
innovating.
and
Yeah.
development, constantly innovating.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
what's gonna set up our our goal at the end is just to be the best, and that's part of it. And I always attend. I try to go to abroad, Italy. Well, I have a few years I don't visit Italy, but Taiwan, they do an annual event and conventions, and
Always
I
looking for
try to,
inspiration.
yeah, I try to stay on top of the game and see
Yeah.
what's coming out new materials, new
Yeah.
designs, new machinery, like you said. Also, my
Yeah.
employees, I try to keep them up to date with um, classes
Training.
and courses, training.
Right.
Uh, yeah, it's
Do you
part of
feel like
the business, I guess.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like you've had to make hard shifts, or are these like very small changes in the nodules? And the reason why I ask is because I'm hoping that our listeners, especially people who are entrepreneurs, are hearing you. They're getting some tips or ideas from your journey. One thing in particular is some people fail because they try to switch their strategy like 180 degrees, and they do it too many times. But not once in this conversation have you talked about making these huge, broad leaps. They're always like these small, fine tuning things. Is that a good piece of advice, if I'm hearing you correctly?
So at some point, you got to keep to some point. I mean, you have to keep your line, but always tweak, like you said, a little bit
Yeah,
by bit. Uh, Tweak your product, your service, your your calendar, your menu of choices to your client, to your market. And my dad, when we first started the business, my dad was part owner of a business just like this. They did the same products, and he said, "You know what? If we're gonna start brand new, we're gonna do a whole new design." So that was
mm,
the only time where I was part of something totally different.
wow,
And product wise, right? But since we opened Diplan Rolling Doors, which it has been 21 years now,
right,
we've never changed a product 180 degrees. But if
right,
you compare our product now to the product we began with, you can
sure.
see
It
that
shows
it's
growth.
very, very different. Yeah, it's very different,
Yes,
but in time, step by step,
right,
like you said.
right. Progression. Yeah,
Yeah, so we try to always innovate and do some things here and there, but it not too crazy because then you lose
Right.
gotcha.
the familiarity with your client or your market.
Right.
Mm,
For
Edwin,
example, we
honestly,
sell in Haiti and Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Bonaire and Turks and Caicos, and each market is different. So we need to
yeah.
cater. Well, in Haiti, they have these specifications. In Puerto Rico, they have those. So we need to always stay on top of each target, right?
Yeah, honestly, all the advice you've been given today,
yeah,
your
man.
story, your personal stories, and then just the way you are, again, speaks to us
Sure.
volumes, and really respect you as a leader, entrepreneur, as a man, a person. So we want to thank you again for joining us on Rebound Rebuild.
Yeah, man.
But I have one more question, my last question, and I'm sorry to take so much of your time,
Don't
but
worry, it's been a true
we,
pleasure. I mean, my only regret is not being able to be there personally, physically with you guys
Yeah,
in the
man. We'll
set.
have you
yeah,
Sometimes we'll have to do that, or who knows, do it here
fly
in
you out here,
DR.
man, on our
We can
private jet.
always do it by the beach, you know. And
Okay, well, we'll take you
I'll
up on
take
that.
that.
Yep. Okay, it's settled. You're gonna pay for us and our wives.
No, I'd like to go solo. I can leave my wife back home with the kiddos.
Well, I'm taking mine. I'll tell you that much.
She can come. I can take I can leave my wife with the kiddos. But as an entrepreneur, a leader, what would you say the biggest don'ts are?
you can there's really no don'ts as long as you're ethical. If what you're trying to do is
Yeah.
in the boundaries of ethics and you're not hurting anyone, then I'm pretty much game for anything. Um, I don't know if that
Okay.
answers your question.
Well, what would be some don'ts as a new business owner or yeah.
Don't be too greedy about reaching your goals. Take it a step at a time. Uh, don't
Okay.
uh, don't lack off in effort. Slack off.
Okay.
Just give it all you got. All beginnings are hard. All beginnings are going to take a lot of work, and they're going to take hours and hours of hard work. But keep true to your goals. Keep true to
Yeah.
yourself. And another don't steal your partner's trade.
Secrets.
Well, I mean, I have been kind of watching how Carlos does his hair, so I've been figuring that out.
No, Edwin, thank you again so much. Honestly, a true pleasure, an honor that you could be the first one on Rebound Rebuild. But to our listeners, this is only the beginning
Oh,
of
yes.
many, many guests that are going
We
to
have
be
some
on
great guests.
I mean, we have some
lined up.
Olympians.
That's
we
right.
have some top business owners, authors. I mean, all
Some really good guests like
and
this
like
one.
like we said before last time, we I don't know if we talked about our women,
Thank you, brother.
but we wanted to bring our respective
Wives.
spouses
That's right.
on the show, so you can kind of see who the women behind the great men
Beside these great men in this case, because these women are great.
are. But again,
That's
Edwin,
like Tony the Tiger.
is there anywhere where our audience can reach you at? Like, do you have an Instagram account, Facebook,
Website.
or website?
My business has an account, a website at www.theplanrollingdoors.com, and you can find it in Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
There you go.
Theplanrollingdoors.com. And my personal, it's at Edwin Diplan in Instagram. So
All
yeah,
right.
I would like to thank you guys. Thank you. Sorry for my English. It's a little bit
What?
choppy.
No, bro, it was great. Stop it. Never have to apologize.
We forgive you because it's better than ours or mine.
I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I really enjoy the work you're doing. Your podcast is awesome, very inspirational. I wish you nothing but the very best.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry I had to be the first guest. It was kind of boring, but you know what? I wish you guys the best.
Oh my
And keep doing your great work. It's been a huge honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. No, thank you again for taking time. Charles, it's been great.
It has been great, bro.
And we have, again, another guest next week right here on
Yeah.
Rebound and Rebuild. So don't miss it.
Please
if
don't.
you
This is one
like
of my homeboys.
today's podcast, please share it on your social media platforms. If there's anything that you'd like us to talk about or a topic
Sure.
that you'd like us to touch on, just send us a DM.
That's right, please.
We'd love to. And also a story.
That's
if
right.
there's something that you rebounded and rebuilded,
Or something we said that actually.
exactly, just let us know. Please rate us, share it, do all of those things. But again, until next time,
This is Coach Charles.
and Carlos, the creator.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner is